Hello and welcome to Activate and Thrive and to our weekly Thriving Thursday interview. I'm Don Krishnaswamy and this is my wife, Mia
Mia.
Krishnaswamy. And we run these interviews every Thursday at noon Eastern US time. And we chat with different beautiful health-minded souls each week about different areas of life. And look for us every Thursday, as I say, at noon Eastern US time. And we're very happy today to have mother and daughter pair of guests today, and Mia will introduce them.
Yes, on the heels of Mother's Day. So we're still celebrating. So we would love all of you to meet Karen and Kristen Bailey. They're both from Brentwood, California. Karen is a mother, get this, of 8 children and has fostered over 100 drug-exposed infants in the last 25 years. Karen spent 6 months on bed rest at Alta Bates Hospital in Berkeley while pregnant with Kristin. She's going to share more about that story in a little bit. But after that, she and her husband, who were high school sweethearts, went on to adopt 3 boys and 4 girls. Kristin has that same love for children that her mom and dad have. And she went on to college in San Diego for human development with an emphasis on social work. She worked as an early intervention specialist, working with children on the spectrum for 5 years until her own child, her first child, her son Grant, was diagnosed at age 2.5, also being on the spectrum. So Karen has embedded in her daughter, Kristin, that true success it starts with the person's ability to give back and serve others, give back to those around you. Our topic today is overcoming loss and early intervention, and the concept that what may be our biggest loss also may be leading to our greatest success. She has a little tiny one, in case you can't tell, with her today.
Yes, our mother and daughter guest and baby, I should have said.
Yes. So welcome, Karen, and welcome, Kristin. We are thrilled to have you with us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
We're excited to be here. We were very excited to do this morning. So thank you so much for having us on.
Oh,
It's our joy.
Yes, truly. Clearly, you both have a servant heart to give back and bless others. And how did that evolve? Karen, 8 children, 7 of which are not your biological child. Kristin is your only biological child. What guided you on this selfless journey? Can you just share a little bit about your story?
Sure. 40 years ago on Sunday, my husband and I were married. And before that, we were high school sweethearts, like you had said. And we decided, both of us had been raised with siblings, 6 siblings each, and decided our journey was Brian was going to become a fireman. I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and we were going to have a large family. So got married, ended up getting pregnant with our first child. It was a little boy. We were thrilled. Brian was a carpenter at the time, but applying to become a fireman. We were living in Oakland, California, and I was kindergarten teacher. During the pregnancy, I started having some complications about 5 months in and went to the doctor. Doctors were not real supportive at the time, unfortunately. That was, 39 years ago now. Turns out I had an incompetent cervix, which is something that you cannot detect ahead of time. So our little guy made it to about 6.5 months. And by the time I was hospitalized, again, there was a lot of denial from the doctors. Now being an advocate, I know what we could have done differently. You know, our voices are very quiet when we're younger. As we get older, we learn to advocate for ourselves. Ended up hospitalizing me. The doctors did a procedure, pushing our little guy up, looped the cord around his neck twice, and ended up, he was born and didn't make it. It was huge for Brian and I, heart-wrenching, because we had never experienced that tremendous of a loss in our lives before. That's right. And as it turned out, we were both raised with a deep belief in God. And we had asked a family priest to come the family priest was there to baptize our little guy. And as it turned out, he couldn't do it either. He was overcome with grief. So my husband, the man that he is, gave back our son and blessed him and sent him on his journey. During that time, because probably I was very young, it was overwhelming to me. My goals, my dreams, everything had come to a screeching halt. I really didn't know where to turn. And I can honestly say it took me about 6 months to get my heart back. And I heard a voice. I prayed a lot. I wasn't even at that time sure who I was praying to because I had a lot of anger. But I can remember hearing that voice. I know you lost something greater than you ever dreamed of, but you will reap the benefits. Your reward is coming. And to this day, I'm telling you the honest to God truth. I have a speck in my eye, and that speck happened that day. I have no idea what it was. Anyway, Brian and I said, let's try this again. We got pregnant again. We were sent to Alta Bates perinatologists. I was hospitalized for 6 months, upside down, did not get up the whole time on a heavy, heavy drug called terbutaline. But Kristin was born. She was premature, but she was born healthy, came home to us, and we were blessed. Every year on her birthday, Brian would say, how are we going to have another one? How are we going to do this, Karen? When she turned 4, I said to Brian, there's a better way. There's children out there that need us. I know we can enrich our souls. We can have more children, Brian. And at that time, they had private adoptions. It was very, very expensive. So we ended up doing something different. We sent out letters. Every single one of our sons came to us because the birth mother contacted us and didn't want money, didn't want gifts, wanted a home for her children, for her child, each one of them from separate families. So we ended up adopting our 3 sons, raised our first 4 children, and started doing foster care when our youngest son, Garen, was 2. And we were about 15 years into it and ended up having a set of twin girls that the county didn't make some good decisions for them. They were 2.5 when they decided that they were terminating parental rights. We adopted our 2 girls, twin girls, who are now 13. And 3 years later, had another set of twin girls who the mom asked if Brian and I would raise her daughters. So we are blessed with 8 children altogether. Again, like I said, God had plans that I never dreamed of, and my little soul, my angel, definitely looks over all of them. And I still feel him present in our lives all the time.
Get me.
Well, that's just extraordinary, Karen. And just seeing right there towards the end of your story, the joy in your face, talking about the family that you have, it does choke one up. And obviously you went on quite a journey to be where you are and to be able to have that joy that just seems to radiate through you now. But it's dear bought, it sounds like. And share with us, because so many of us, so many people deal with loss, deal with things going away in their lives that they never thought it would, and yet they have to find a way to plow ahead. Can you share with us some of how you managed that at the time, and how you like did you immediately find the hole filled in when you adopted, or was there still something in there that was I have this hole, but thank God for this, but there's still this hole for having my own blood children?
The day Kristin turned 4, I made an appointment with the same perinatologist that delivered her, because Brian was pretty sure we could do it again. We could go through that again. We could go to Alta Bates. We could have another child. And I said, I owe you this. Let's go sit down. Let's talk to the doctors. The minute I walked in that hospital, I don't know if it was the smells, I don't know if it was the sounds, but I knew. And I'm telling you, it was clear. God said, walk, listen, make a decision, and you'll be okay. We listened to everything. We walked out. It was a pouring rainy day. We got on the elevator and I said to Brian, I heard everything they said. I believe we could have another child, another biological child, but I believe there's a huge journey for us, Brian. It's not going to be through me. They will come to me. And he's like, what? I said, we can adopt Brian. And he's like, I don't want to do that. We're at the mercy of someone else. I don't want to go through. I said, Brian, trust me on this one. Poor Brian. That day he lost his car keys. He lost his wallet. I mean, it was one of those days that, and that night when we laid in bed, he said, okay, I'm handing it over to you. He said, you've suffered for 4 years the loss of our son. We have our beautiful daughter, but I trust you, Karen. We put out a letter in January. We received our son, Taylor, in July. I'm telling you, from the moment my boys came to me, I kept feeling my son come home. Through every one of our children, when all of them have hard times, I still feel his beautiful soul resonating. And he always tells me, it's okay. I have my hand over them. It's okay.
Oh.
But it healed. It healed. Every child, every blessing that has come, I've never forgotten him in the process. It almost brings him to us, which is hard to understand, I know, but the fulfillment is so rich from all of the other lives that have come into our lives.
So rather than being severed from that connection with him, it sounds like it has been a huge connectivity back to his very being and soul that's helped
Yes.
you to go forward with all the other children that you brought into your world. They're all somehow connected to
Absolutely.
his presence.
Yes.
Enhance it.
Completely.
I can relate in many ways because I did have 3 pregnancies and they all, left me on the early side. I didn't have them even as long as you had your son. And those were really rough years, just because I always thought I would be a mom, always. And I have 3 awesome stepkids, but I really wanted to experience, being a mom and giving birth to our child. And that came in a different form after realizing that it wasn't going to happen the way that I had always thought it would. It came in the form of a beautiful furry babe that we had for nearly 17 years. And she just had 2 more legs and fur. That was truly, she was my baby. So
Yeah.
I totally understand that. And I'm still learning how, I know that love will serve me the rest of my life, but I'm still learning how her life is going to lead me to bless others that much more. So I do understand that. There are all ways that we can give birth in life, aren't they? Serving others and giving back. There's nothing more rewarding than knowing that you're changing somebody else's life. And look at all the lives you've changed with all of these children that you've given parents to.
Well,
And-
and it's my children my adopted children. I don't call them my adopted children, but the ones that were adopted, they have come to me in different times of their lives and they have said, hey, Mom, is it different for you because Kristin was born in you? Is it different? Is your heart different than, your love for us? And I said, no. I said, one of you came through, one of you came to. I said, it's just a difference on how you got to my heart. I said, the plan was made way before we even knew of the plan. And I said, and it's always perfect because the bottom line is we are one, we're a family.
Well, that's beautiful. One of them came through and others came to. That's a gorgeous concept.
Absolutely.
I wonder if we could turn over to you, Kristin, for a
yes.
few minutes. A couple of things. How do I'm not sure how to put this, but how has this whole journey with adopting children been in your life? How did you embrace it? Did you ever go through any moments of I don't know if we want to say jealousy about other children when you were a little kid, or any adjustments you had to make? And also we understand that you went to college for human development with emphasis on social work. And can you talk to us about how your personal family experience has impacted your work?
Yeah, yes, definitely. So, being the oldest of this clan, it's been an amazing ride, and I feel like it's always been my normal. But I will say that I can speak for all 7 of my siblings that when they say, when anyone's asked who's mom's favorite, we all say me. Like every one of my brothers, they all say me. Like my sisters, it's them, you know, like everyone. So it's kind of, it's been amazing for me because, you know, and being the oldest, like I said, I feel like when my brothers came into my life, immediately I took ownership of them in a way.
So much so, I'll tell you a really, really quick snippet story. Kristin was almost 5, going into kindergarten when our first son, Taylor, was born. It was a private adoption. They have 6 months to decide, the birth parents have 6 months to decide whether they're going to sign the papers or not. Taylor's birth mother, it was about 2 months into it, hadn't decided yet if she was going to sign papers. We said, come to our home. We were living in Discovery Bay. Come to our home, meet your son, because she did not see him at birth, which we were heartbroken. Meet your son, make your decision. And of course, my parents, oh, no, don't do that, don't do that. You know, I said, no, this is how it's supposed to be. This birth mother has to know she's doing the right thing, or she has to raise her child. We had Kristin next door at a friend's house. She's in a little blonde ponytail, a little polka dot bathing suit, because it's like 103 degrees outside. And I asked my neighbor, keep Kristin until this is all done. Well, long story short, birth mom comes, she walks into the house, she goes up and sees her son, she comes downstairs and we're talking, and all of a sudden, little Miss Kristin walks through the front door with her little sassy bathing suit on, and she says, oh, we have company. And Brian and I are sitting there going, oh gosh, this could be uncomfortable. She takes Taylor's birth mother and she says, oh, come with me, I have to show you something. And Jennifer holds Kristin's hand and they walk up the stairs and she goes into the nursery. Right before she gets into the nursery, she turns to the birth mom and she says, shh, you have to be quiet. There's something very special here. She brings her into the nursery. She shows her Taylor in the cradle and she says, look what God gave me. And Jennifer looked at Kristin. Yeah. And she says, oh, he's very beautiful. And she said, he's more special than all the stars. And I love him because he's my brother.
Oh my gosh.
This is the honest to God truth. She walks downstairs with Kristin. Jennifer came to Brian and I. She gave us a kiss and a hug. And she said, I did not find you as his parents. God did. I will sign the papers tomorrow. I'm telling you the honest to God truth. And that's the epitome of no jealousy. That girl treasured every single life that came to us.
Yeah. And I still do so much. And I think that's why a lot of people that know me, they're like, oh, there's Kristin and she's always crying and she's always grateful and she's always like loving. But it's true. Like I was really raised to, I mean, I love my siblings so much. They're my world. And I've never even thought of it any other way. And that has transpired when I went to school to do early intervention. For me, I just want to help. There's such a need out there. And like Mia and I were talking about the other day, when you're helping and when you're seeing that you can positively affect other people and that you can make a difference, it's contagious. And that is a feeling that you want to keep doing. Like, what else can I do? What else? It's something that I don't know. For me, I feel like if someone's stuck or if someone's in a rut, I'm like, just go help someone. Go out and do for others, because that will fill your cup. And then you're going to be so surprised how quickly your mood or whatever funk you're in, you're going to get out of it.
That's right.
When you take that focus off of yourself, it's so true.
It's so true, and just having that faith and being appreciative of what gifts God has given us. I look at my 4 sisters. I'm so blessed to have them in my life and be so close with them, 13 and 10. I also feel like they're mine.
Well, yeah. Mostly my 7 other children, even the boys included, even though they're young men right now. It's so funny. They'll give me, the business, and all I have to do is say, gosh, I wonder how Kristin would feel about this. Boom. Well, wait, what? You're going to talk to Kristin? What? No, let me talk to Kristin about this. Oh yeah. She's kind of like up here. I'm here. She's up here with all of them.
That's beautiful. Kristin, can you talk with us a little bit about your work with early intervention, So please speak
Yes.
about that. Yeah.
Definitely. So early intervention, I worked with kiddos 0 to 3 years old. So as soon as they were diagnosed with, it's autism, we had, across the board special needs, mostly autism. And, for me, I learned early intervention is so important for kids, to get them in and get them the therapy that they need, and, just the assistance, because those first 3 years of life are so important. And I didn't realize it, but again, it's like God has a plan for us all. We just have to be open to it. Helping all those kids for 5 years. When I had my own son, Grant, I noticed at a really early age, there were some things that were not right. And I brought it to my mom, and you even said too, no, it's fine. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we need to get him, checked out. And we went to San Francisco, and he got diagnosed on the autism spectrum at 2. And on the way home from San Francisco, I called the school that I used to teach at, and the wait list, you guys, was probably like 6 months, 6 months to a year. And I remember calling and saying, Grant got diagnosed on the spectrum. I need him to start on Monday. And she made it happen. We literally got him into early intervention. And like I said, he would not have been able to get in, and he is thriving. And I'm happy to report that we just got, last week we had a meeting. He's going into first grade next year, but he's now going into mainstream first grade next year. He's not going to be in a special ed class,
Which I called.
which she
Wow.
did.
You
But
know
it's
what?
because of the early intervention, and I was bawling.
Yes.
Like we were all crying. We worked so hard, but it is because of the work that we put in, and because of the signs that we recognized.
That's right.
To get him the help that he needed. So it all kind of full circle.
I love this, and, of course, to hear that he's thriving, I'm sure you've been giving him things that just have helped that journey along, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And doing the research too. And that's another, there's so much along with the early intervention. And if you look at what oxidative stress does with kiddos with developmental disabilities, and how important all of that, there's so many things. And you and I talked about this, and, you guys, if you are interested in more of that, please reach out to them and they'll connect you with the information. But it is there's so much out there that we just don't know. And that if we just, open our minds and hear these stories, because this is real life. This is,
right.
There's just a lot of things that we can do and that we didn't know of before. And that will change our children's lives for the better.
Yeah. We might even have to have a whole nother conversation and invite, you back to share more on just that topic of how to help kids on the autistic spectrum. And, just because that's such on the rise, in this day and age. There's so many factors that play into why that happens. And just know that you can have a positive effect on anybody who's dealing with ADD, any neurological issue, by just enhancing those nootropics,
Exactly.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
The nootropics being the basically the brain food, what addresses the brain health. And you mentioned in what you just said, something about oxidative stress. I think that's something a lot of people don't really know about, but it's an up and coming area of study. There are many, many studies on that now. And the impact of oxidative stress on our health and causing many diseases. It's linked also to autism. And so you have been finding ways to address that with your work in early intervention. And you've been obviously seeing results right with your own son. So that's just remarkable.
And it's an all natural practice, right?
It's all natural.
That's important. Yeah.
And so pairing the two, the early intervention and the all natural, what we found, those two together, it's like, it's boom effect. Yeah. It's been amazing. It's been life changing.
Yes.
And for him too, he's a different kid. He is.
Yeah.
He's
beautiful.
Great.
Yes.
And
I don't think I would have even known when I saw him come into the room the other day had I not known.
Yeah.
He's
that's
just
beautiful.
darling. He is such a little sparkle.
Yeah.
We always try to respect people's time in these interviews, and we never ever want to end them And this, I always say this every week, but this is one where we really don't want to end.
No, we
But-
don't. We're just
but
going to have
We
you
will
back.
have to have you back another time. But
Yeah.
before we close, is there any final thing that either of you would like to share just from your life journey or your experience with meeting loss, with working with children? Any final thought you'd like to share?
Mine is never give up. Even if you can't see and hold the dream at the time, never give up and go to that place, inner place, and get to where you accept what this beautiful world has to offer you, and you will be blessed tenfold.
Mhm. Yep. And mine is just to keep your heart open. Keep your heart open and keep loving, even, and it's been a hard couple years, obviously, for the world, the whole world right now, but there is still so much beauty and there's still so much good out there. And even connecting with you guys has been so amazing for me. So just keep your heart open and, keep loving.
Yes.
You
So-
both are such a ray of sunshine, and we are so blessed by those rays. And I know our audience is as well. So thank you
I think
both
we have
so much.
we have weak knees right now. We're like putty after this. It's just beautiful what you have shared. And to our audience, if you want to learn more about what we've been talking about as far as natural ways to address health, we touched on it a little bit during this interview. Please feel free to connect with us at Activate and Thrive. We'd be happy to share more with you. And if you have any specific questions for Kristin or Karen, we'd be very happy to pass them on to them. So thank you everybody for joining us today. Kristin and Karen, it has been such a joy and honor for us. And all the very best to you. And
Oh,
we look forward to
absolutely.
chatting some more another time.
I know Karen had an appointment with the babies.
Yeah.
And we look forward to seeing you, dear friends, on Activate and Thrive, Thriving Thursdays each week at noon East Coast US time. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Kristen. Thank you, Karen.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.